Hey guys, we talking about Barry today. So excited to be doing this podcast. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Tiffany, and this is called Tiffany's TVscape podcast, where we're going to be talking about HBO show Barry, my favorite show. I'm so excited for season 3, you guys. April 24th. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I'm already excited just talking about season 1 and season 2, but when the new episodes come out, y'all get ready, because I'm going to turn into a different person. You're going to see me like you've never seen me before. But anyway, before we get into the show, I did feel like it was fitting to just talk about how I got into the show personally, because I know like a lot of people, it wasn't really on my radar when it first came out. And I believe it came out in 2018. Um, and to be honest, Bill Hader as an actor was not on my radar. It really wasn't until I saw him in It Chapter 2 as Richie Tilger. And I was like, he can really act. Like, of course, I think we all knew him from SNL and being the funny guy, but honey, Richie Tilger is one of my favorite characters. So anyway, after that, I went and checked out what other works he did. And I found out he did this TV show called Barry. So I'm like, okay, let me check it out. Literally after the first season, I was like, I'm hooked. I need to see what else is going to happen. And I'm the type of person that really likes true crime. So I felt like that was such a good combination to have that drama and the comedy. And the comedy it's actually really funny. And I feel like it hits you at like really weird times. I just recently binge watched, or I should say rewatched season 1 this past weekend. And there were little moments that I completely missed, like things that the people in the acting class said. And I was like, how did I miss that the first time around? And it just goes to show you the genius of Bill Hader and Alec Berg, the two co-creators, if you guys didn't know. But anyway, okay, I want to do a recap about season 1 before we even get into like the season 3 trailer and like what we think is going to happen. I did want to kind of just do a little bit of a rewind for people that have never seen the show. And if you're listening to this, you're probably like, what are you talking about? Check it out on HBO and HBO Max. You could stream it. Then you'll really know what I'm talking about. When I tell you guys it's a good show, it's such a good show. It's definitely my favorite show. And I'm so glad it's coming back. Thank you. But anyway, let's get back to season 1. So my favorite scene in season 1, and honestly, I would say, I would probably say my favorite scene, one of my favorite scenes throughout the entire series is when Barry goes to kill Ryan, and he sees that Ryan has already been shot, and he's like, "Wait, what?" And then you turn and you see NoHo Hank, which is we'll have to get into him later. NoHo Hank and some of the other Chechens, and literally you see that switch, like no fear in his eyes, and he's just like, what are you guys doing? And I was like, whoa. Like, I think that moment I was like, yeah, I could see him being a hitman, because I think the way they presented him in the beginning of the episode, and I feel like in most of the scenes he had this like innocence about him, which is kind of I guess that's a weird way to describe him, because he is a hitman, and considering what he does for a living, you wouldn't say that he's innocent, but he has this like he's very like naive, and you could tell he was so out of touch with reality in the first season, especially. um and with his backstory, for those of you who don't know, he was a former Marine, and then when he got out of war, he was really depressed for months, and pretty much the only human interaction he had was with Fuchs, and Fuchs is kind of like an uncle to him. They're not actually related. He was a friend of his dad's, and Fuchs is the guy that got him into being a hitman. He kind of gives him his assignments, kind of looks out for him. Basically, he pays him, that kind of thing. So I wouldn't necessarily say he's a true friend. I feel like maybe in some sense he cares about Barry, but I definitely think he's basically in it for the money, and he's kind of in it just, to self-serve, as, for himself, basically. And yeah, and so I think after that, you could just tell he really was like, I don't know how to be an adult. I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is that I get these assignments. I go and I kill people, and then that's it. And I just move on to the next city or the next state. And so that was just so like, I don't know, I feel like you kind of felt bad for him. Like you have empathy for him. You're like, oh, like this guy is really lost and really depressed and he never got help after coming out of the war. And then you see that switch. And when he kills, well, he doesn't kill No Hank, but when he shoots him and he kills the other guys, you're like, whoa, like, okay, like I would definitely not want to mess with that guy. And it's just crazy how I think how Bill Hader is able to play that. And I had a really great conversation with the girl that I met on Facebook literally just the other day, and we were talking about Barry, and she was pointing out how a lot of the times in season one he has these facial expressions, and you could see it in his eyes where like he realizes things for the first time and he's kind of like, oh. And again, it's very innocent. It's like a little child discovering his or her feet or hands for the first time, and they're like, oh, that's what this is. And it's just, oh my god, like it's just so crazy. And I'm like, I don't know how he does that. I guess that's just what makes him a good actor. But I feel like that, seeing that in season one, I feel like as an audience, we really were able to kind of like empathize with him and be like, okay, I know he kills people, but like clearly he needs help, or clearly he needed help coming out of the war and he didn't get it, you know. Fuchs was definitely not the person for that. And so I don't know. It's crazy. I'm rambling because I just love the show and I love the characters, and I'm really excited to see where it's gonna go for season three. But I'm also nervous, you guys. I'm nervous because it's gonna be. I just know it's gonna be darker than the last season. I think that's the theme. It's just gonna be darker, 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 darker. And we already know there's a season four coming because Bill has confirmed in interviews that over the course of the pandemic, he's written for season three and season four. So strap your wigs on, ladies, because it's gonna be crazy. But anyway, let's get into the season three trailer. What was that? First of all, they released a teaser trailer first, which I believe was maybe like a minute long. I don't even know if it was a minute long, but it was just a tease, and we were like, okay, we're getting somewhere here. Then they dropped the full trailer. I want to say maybe like a week ago. Wasn't that long ago, and I was just like, and my friend had texted in a group chat and was like, "Did you guys see this?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" And we were all just like losing our minds. And so with the trailer and then like the official poster, there was something I was kind of confused about. So for some reason, I didn't realize that he was eating, I think he's eating a donut in the trailer and in the poster. And I don't know why I thought he was like eating an apple or something like that. But anyway, I looked closer and I'm like, he's eating a donut and he's like in the middle of nowhere. And then there's like a shovel on the side. And I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know if I'm looking too much into it, but I'm like, does that have some type of significance as what's going to happen? And I think a lot of people were focused on the shovel because they're like, does that mean he's burying somebody? Does that mean he's digging somebody up? Like what's going to happen? And I noticed people on Twitter were saying, they felt like there was going to be a thing with Kusno after what happened, after the way season two ended. I was going to say, should I talk about season two as well? I mean, it's not really a spoiler. It's been out for so long. And if you don't want to hear it, I'm sorry. I might spoil it. But basically, like, he just shot everybody at the end of season two. It's not funny, but it was crazy and it was really intense. And Kusano found out that Barry was the one that killed Detective Moss. And of course, it was Fuchs that told on him. So he was furious and just ready to, I mean, he just saw red. It was actually really scary. Like that scene, again, the switch where you're like, okay, like he's a hitman for sure. And he's capable of hurting anybody if he really wanted to. Um, and so after all of that happened, I think a lot of people are like, oh, okay, well, like next season, he's definitely gonna have it out with Kusino or Fuchs or, one of those dudes. And I'm just like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen. I've saw a few theories. I don't know if I have like an actual theory myself. I don't know. And then somebody had released like the little synopsis for like each episode, and I didn't want to look at it because I don't want to spoil it. I saw for the first episode for season three, episode one, I think it did say something about it said something about Sally, I think being, I don't know if she's going to be famous, having her own show or something like that. So I'm assuming there must be a time jump from season 2 to season 3, because I'm not sure how she would have like gotten a TV show and kind of like became famous by then, but whatever, that's besides the point. So um I think he's gonna have it out with Kusino and Fuchs probably, and I feel like it's gonna be really bad. I feel like something really bad is gonna happen, and the reason why I say that too is because this type of show is not the show that like when you watch shows and it looks like something bad is going to happen, or it looks like somebody's going to get killed, but at the end, like everything's going to be fine. It's going to be happy. It's going to be good. And you're like, I knew they weren't going to die, but they just try to make it seem like that. No, this show shows no mercy. Like if it looks like somebody's going to die, they probably are. And the way I have heard Bill talk about when he talks about the show in interviews and with his writing specifically, he always says that he writes to serve the story. And does it follow the emotions of the characters? Is it something that the characters would genuinely do in these situations? And so he writes it realistically. It's not just to add shock value, or it's not just to add something funny. Like there's a purpose to everything that happens. And so, you guys, I'm so scared. I'm so excited. But when I say I'm scared, I'm not scared like in the sense that I'm not going to watch it. I'm scared of like pretty much everybody that's going to be around Barry, because I'm like, I don't know what this man is going to do. And I do remember reading in one of his latest interviews, he said that he doesn't think the audience is going to be as loyal to Barry this season, or that the audience might lose some of the loyalty for him. And I don't know. I see, and that makes me nervous too. But I also kind of feel like he underestimates how much people love him, like just him, Bill Hader, but also how much people love Barry, the character. And so I definitely think there's going to be people that, like, no matter what he does, they're going to be rooting for him. And that's something else I wanted to talk about. Why do we root for the bad guy? Ask yourself that question, because it's not just this show. I've done this with other shows, and I know you guys, if you guys are watching, I know you have too, where you watch something, even a movie, and you're like, I'm kind of rooting for the bad guy here, or I'm kind of rooting for the villain. And I just thought that was really interesting. I'm like, why do we do that? And I guess specifically with Barry, I think it just goes back to having empathy for him. Like knowing his backstory, knowing about him being traumatized from being a Marine, being depressed, being lonely, all those kinds of things. And although it's not based on a actual person or a true story, we know that obviously there are people in real life that does happen to. They go to war and they come out and they don't get help, or they don't have access to, help. And then, it's just really sad. And so I think when you think of it that way, when you get down to like the human part of it, you're just like, I actually really feel for the guy. But then he does stuff and you're just like, Barry, I was rooting for you. Why would you do that? And it's the fact that throughout season 1 and 2, he has this like delusion that if he starts to do better going forward, then everything he did in his past could be erased and that he could start over. And that's not the case. And I feel like that's going to it seems like that's going to be the thing for season 3 as well, because I think in the poster it says you can't bury your past. And so I'm like, exactly. That's the lesson that I feel like he should have learned by now, but he's not, which means that things are probably only going to get worse for him. So I don't know. But yeah. And then I noticed too, like, I think maybe it was more so in season 1. I haven't rewatched season 2 in a while. I just got through rewatching season 1. I think I mentioned that earlier, but I know he has these kind of like fantasies, I guess you would say, or he has these moments where he thinks about having a normal life, having a wife, being with Sally, having a child, taking his child to school, having the white picket fence, that whole thing. And then he kind of like snaps out of it and then he's back to reality. And it's like, so clearly that's what he wants. Like that's what he dreams about having, but yet he still keeps going backward. He still keeps going back to being a hitman. It's not even going back to being a hitman because he just is. Like, there was no stopping in the first place, but he still goes back to Fuchs. He just doesn't, it's like he just never learns. And it's just this horrible cycle that he continues to go in. And I see that cycle continuing in season 3 and probably season 4. I don't know. That's still way ahead, but yeah, I'm really scared. I am really scared. But before we jump into the next topic, I did want to say, in case you guys don't know, I am doing this podcast through Streann, Streann. Go to streann.com and you'll see what I'm talking about. Click on solutions, and then you click on Streann Studio, and you could be doing this too if you wanted to. It's really easy. It's free. All you have to do is put in an email. They'll send you a login code, and then you're in. So you don't have to worry about setting up a username, password. It's none of that complicated stuff. It's really easy to use. And it's really cool because I get to play around with like colors, the borders, the way I want the background to look. And when I do have guests, I actually invited somebody, by the way, for this first episode. I'm not sure if the guests will be able to make it. If they do, great. If not, it's totally fine. But I definitely want to have guests for future episodes. And so, yeah, you can kind of do whatever you want on here. It's really easy. It's really fun. So check it out, streann.com. This podcast is sponsored by Streann, Streann, because I know if I just say Streann, people are not going to spell it right. But anyway, let's get back to Barry. Okay, and so, this is what I want to talk about. So, I'm sorry, I'm too excited. I need to calm down. So, okay, I was still in college last year, and I came across an old assignment that I did. And of course, it's about Barry. And I totally forgot that I did that. And I came across it, and I was like, okay, I feel like I need to read this for the live stream. I hope I don't bore you guys to death. But I just thought it was really interesting. And I feel like it kind of ties into what I've been talking about. And so let me get my phone, and I'm going to open it up so I can read this to you. So just so it kind of makes sense, I took a class about gender and race and class in media. And for the assignment, I think we were just instructed to pick a piece of media, so like film, TV, music videos, anything like that. And then we were examining framework and just kind of like, I guess, deconstructing media, I guess you could say that. And don't ask me to elaborate because I barely remember the stuff that we learned in that class. It's been over a year, but it was a pretty good class, so I enjoyed it. And so we could pick any piece of media that we wanted. Of course, I picked Barry, and I wrote like a page about it, and I got a good grade on it. So I guess my professor really liked it, but I titled it Examine Framing in the Show Barry. It reads, in the HBO show Barry, the story follows war veteran turned hitman Barry Berkman, played by Bill Hader, who follows one of his assigned victims to an acting class in Los Angeles. When Barry decides that he wants to be a part of the group, his life becomes 10 times more complicated, trying to juggle 2 identities as one. As the story progresses, we get to see how Barry's web of lies start to catch up to him, and the consequences of his violent actions brew even more violence. Ooh. So I guess if you guys are watching this, and like I said, if you don't know about the show Barry, you literally have no idea what it's about. That's what it's about, what I just read. Next paragraph. In season 1, episode 5, titled Do Your Job, there's a scene where Barry is rehearsing for the play Macbeth in the acting class. When the acting coach poses a question of what emotions are involved in the play, a debate about the morality of murder is sparked, putting Barry in defensive mode. If you guys seen season 1, you know what scene I'm talking about. The class is all in agreement, and anyone who kills is damaged beyond repair and seemingly a psycho. But Barry disagrees, having brought up his experience as a Marine in the military and what it's like having to follow orders. Of course, he omits the fact that he's killed plenty of times outside of a war zone and is actively murdering people in cold blood when he's on duty for a hit. This scene in particular is very significant to the premise of the show and who Barry is as a character. It's also really ironic and thought-provoking because as an audience member, it makes you contemplate how we can praise soldiers and veterans and cops, even saying phrases like, "Thank you for your service," which is a line in the episode, but then completely ignored the fact that their service involves killing. I think the whole scene is framed in a way to show how out of touch Barry really is, which I mentioned that earlier. I felt like season one him was so out of touch with reality, and you could clearly see that. But I also feel like that kind of makes you feel for the guy. At least that's how I felt. In Barry's mind, he still has this delusional idea that once he's not a hitman anymore, he can go on and live a normal life. Wrong. He daydreams about having a wife and kids, the stereotypical white picket fence, and he really has hope that this will come to pass one day. What he fails to realize is he is the one getting in his own way by not choosing to stop the killings. It's also clear he's unaware of how much trauma he has mentally and emotionally from being in war and how that's still affecting him in present day. If the story was told from a different perspective, like one of the other acting class members, we would probably feel bad for Barry. I feel like I still kind of do, at least in the beginning of the show. But because the audience knows what they know, we can acknowledge that Barry may have a point in bringing attention to the hypocrisy of praising soldiers in war, but that does not negate the fact that he is a murderer. Because Barry is still able to function in everyday life and does not fit the typical description of traits of a serial killer, it can be very easy to give into the excuses of his violent crimes. Okay, that was kind of a lot. But I totally forgot that I wrote this and I was like, hey, this is pretty good. I kind of like that. And yeah, and I feel like that totally fits with everything that I've been saying. Just the whole thing of like, why do we root for the villain or the bad guy, or like, why are we rooting for him when we see clearly that he's not going to stop killing, he's not going to stop being a hitman, and if he does, it's very temporary, and that doesn't erase everything that he's done. I mean, he's never apologized for it, he hasn't done time for it, he hasn't done anything. And let's be real, like if this was, I mean, I feel like if this was real life, there's no way we would be like, oh, but he needs help, and like we would not be making an excuse for him. We'd be like, throw that dude in jail, like he's crazy. And so it's just very interesting to me. And I pose you to ask yourself that question: why do you root for the villain? And not even necessarily for Barry, maybe just like another TV show that you watched, a movie where you found yourself rooting for the villain, and you're just like, why do we do that? I don't know why we do that. um I guess I would say it comes down to just having empathy, but I think there's a thing of maybe having too much empathy for people who don't deserve it, and unfortunately, I hate to say that about Barry because I do love him and I do love the show, but I'm one of those people that I'm like, I don't think he deserves a happy ending, and I don't see that happening for him. I would be really surprised if they wrote it that way. And of course, that's still kind of a long ways. I mean, season 3 still isn't out. Season 4, I mean, we still don't even know anything about that yet. But I don't see that happening for him, and I don't believe that he should have a happy ending after everything he's done. Um, yeah, sorry. Don't get mad at me if you really love Barry. I love Barry too, but I just, it's like I can't defend him anymore. And I know when season 3 happens, I just know it's going to be even worse. And I'm going to be like, why did I ever feel bad for this man? I don't know. But then you have people that from the beginning, they watched it and they were like, nah, like I never felt bad for him because he made the choice to do it. And he made the choice to keep doing it even once, um, there's moments in season 1 where he's like, I'm not doing this anymore, starting now. And that's supposed to be like a reset for him, but obviously it's not, because nothing really changes, in season 2. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just really, I keep saying I'm afraid, I'm scared, because I really am more like nervous of what's going to happen in the new season. But of course, I will be here every Tuesday at 1 p.m. same time. We're going to get into the new episodes when they come out. And like I said just now, I will be a different person when when the new episodes come out. Like if you think I'm excited now, just wait, y'all. Just wait until the new episodes come out. Oh my gosh. And then just wait until I get guests on here. Or if I get somebody that's involved in the show and I'm able to talk to them, I'm gonna have to like keep it calm, so I don't scare anybody, so I don't freak anybody out. But I mean, if you guys are big fans of the show, you already know how it is when you really get into a TV show. You just can't help but be excited. It's just the little things that make you happy. And I think what's great about this show too is, you can stream it. And like I said, I binge watched season 1 over the past weekend, but it's still one of those shows where like an episode comes out and then you have to wait for the next week to see the new episode. And I feel like we're missing that now because everything's online, everything's Netflix and Hulu, which there's not a problem with that because I like binge watching stuff sometimes. And I really, sometimes people don't have time and they just want to sit and just watch the whole thing in one go. And I mean, that's fine too, but I just feel like there's a joy that we're missing for people who really love television. We don't have that anymore, like, at least not as much as we used to, where you would watch a TV show and then you're like, new episode next week, and they would show previews, and then you're like, oh my God, what does this mean? What does that mean? And you're trying to decipher the trailer. And we miss out on that when everything is just available, at a click, and then you could just watch it all. And I kind of actually feel for the writers and the producers and the people that make these shows because they put so much hard work into it, like months and months, for people to just watch it in one day and then be like, when's the next season? What's going to happen next? And it's like, dude, like, this just came out. Like, can you give people time to just process it? And I don't know. Maybe I'm saying that too because I am a writer. I mean, I'm not a TV writer, but I could just imagine spending so much time writing a television show only for people to just watch it so quickly and then kind of already just be begging for more. And it's just like you're just never satisfied. And I feel like people kind of, I don't know. I was going to say people have kind of done that with Barry, but then not really, because I think we knew that obviously production had shut down because of pandemic and there was nothing that could be done at that time. But yeah, I'm going to start wrapping this up. I've just been rambling this whole time because, like I said, I really love the show. And this is like an outlet for me. Even if I'm only talking to one person, it's just cool to be able to openly speak about it. And I feel like there's enough people that know about the show for it to get renewed, but it doesn't seem like a lot of people know about it still, because when I've mentioned it to family and friends, they're like, what's that? What's Barry? Oh, it's on HBO. I've never heard of it. And I'm like, you've never heard of it? You have to watch it. And so hopefully if you came across this live stream and you're like, I don't know what Barry is, but you know what? This girl seems excited, so I'll watch it. Maybe that'll be my mission with this podcast, just to get more people to watch it. And then we could create a group and we can all talk about it. I mean, hey, that's kind of how I got into it. I think it started off with me being in like a Tumblr group. And this is back when Tumblr was doing, they did group chats very poorly, might I add. Sorry to Tumblr, but that was not cute. Anyway, so we were in group chats, and so we were able to talk about, we were in group chats with people that had similar interests with us. And so when I found other people that were fans of Bill Hader's work or just fans of Barry, it was like a community, like, you like Barry? Well, I like Barry too. So let's talk about Barry. And then that moved from Tumblr to Discord and like Twitter and pretty much just all over social media. And so now I'm able to talk about more people, and and hopefully more people will start to watch this podcast. People that get into the show, people that already know about the show. Hey, even if you don't know about the show and you just like hearing me talk, like, I really don't care. I just want to be able to talk about it. And like I said, this is like my outlet. And maybe I'll even write about it too, I am a writer, so maybe I will kind of write like little pieces about it and then I could post it on my social media. If you're not following me, please do. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Tumblr, I'm not even going to try to go through all my usernames, but I will put that on my Facebook so you guys can follow me. I think my Instagram is already attached to my, I think it's linked on my Facebook already. So follow me there. I know I haven't really been posting much. I apologize. But I should be posting more now that I'm doing this podcast. And then, of course, like I said, when Barry season 3 comes out, we going to be partying, baby. We going to be partying. Okay. let's bring it back down because you saw me getting excited again just thinking about season 3. Oh my god, you guys, this is just gonna be so funny to do this. Like, just wait till next week and the week after, and then the week after that, I think is when season 3 starts. So I'm gonna just tell y'all, just hold on for the ride, because I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't think any of us really know what's gonna happen. I think we know what's gonna happen. And I've seen people say like, oh, the trailer revealed so much, like it's clear we already know what's gonna happen. I don't think we do. And I don't necessarily want to know because I don't want to be spoiled. I don't want the show to be spoiled for me yet. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap this up because I've been talking for past 30 minutes. Oh my God. And before I go, in case you guys didn't know earlier, this podcast is sponsored by Streann Media. If you want to create your own podcast, if you would like to just play around with their Streann Studio, just go to streann.com, STREANN.com. And it's free and you can just play around with it. And it's really fun and really cool. And I'm using it right now, and I will be using this for every episode that I do in the future. I hope that you guys enjoyed me rambling because I'm going to be doing this next week. And like I said, hopefully I'll be able to get on some guests, and then we'll really be able to have like a good dialogue about the show and about what's to come. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for what's to come. I will see you guys next week on Tuesday, 1 p.m. Pacific time. If you're in a different time zone, figure it out because I don't know. I don't know what the other time zones are. Just know that it's 1 p.m. my time, okay? And I hope everybody is having a good day, and I'll see you guys next week.